Alright, so today we're going to look at how to create a short cinematic sequence using the new Wan2.2 model, Flux Context, Flux Krea, and the new Wan2.2 FLF2V workflow. But, you know what? Let's just watch the video first. So by now, we know that the Wan2.2 model features a mixture of experts architecture. And what that really means is that this new model can handle both text to video and image to video with a lot more finesse. This translates to cleaner, sharper visuals and motion that feels much more natural. And I just found out that Loras work perfectly fine with Wan2.2, which means we can actually push this even further. This video was supposed to come out a few days ago, but I just kept adding on to the workflow until it completely spiraled out of control. So what I'll do in this video is show you how I speed up Wan2.2 and use it to create that short clip you just saw. We'll also look at the new Flux Krea model, plus the new Wan2.2 FL2V workflow. I feel like I'm just giving you these workflows without really showing you what I do with them. And today we'll have to do something about that. Welcome back to Sneaky Robot, and here are the workflows for today. We have the enhanced 5B hybrid workflow, the 14B image to video workflow, and the text to video enhanced workflow. I've added a gguf pipeline to the workflow to speed things up quite a bit. For this to work, you're going to need the 5B and 14B models from ComfyUI and the gguf models from QuantStack. I'm personally using the Q5 version for the 5B workflow and Q4 versions for the 14B workflows. Go ahead and download them. The links will be provided. You're going to put the safe tensors files directly into your models, diffusion models folder, and the gguf files goes into the models unet folder. You know what? While you're at it, let's just grab everything we need. Download the 14B safe tensors for both the text to video and the image to video models. Just make sure you get both the high and low versions of each and place all of those into that same models, diffusion models folder. Then, go grab the gguf versions for those as well and put them in the models unet folder. Next up, you'll need the UMT5 model. You'll want to place that in your models text encoders folder. I'm using both the safe tensors and the gguf versions. The last two you'll need are the Wan2.1 and Wan2.2 VAE models. These should be placed inside your models VAE folder. All the links for these are in the description below, or you can find them all bundled on my Patreon. Just a few more. The next three models you need are the Loras. The first one is the Litex2V. You can get this on Kijai's Hugging Face page. Just note that there are two different types here. One is specifically for image to video, and the other is for text to video. Download both and put them in your models Lora folder. I'm using the Rank 32 versions. The other Lora you'll need is the Pusher V1 Lora. Make sure you grab the Safe Tensors version. Download it and also place it in that same models Lora folder. The purpose of the Litex2V Lora is to speed up our inference time, while the Pusher V1 Lora is all about improving the final video quality. The workflow link itself is in the description below. The last models you'll need are for the Audio node. These are also found on Kijai's Hugging Face page. Inside your main ComfyUI models folder, I want you to create a new folder and name it, all one word, Audio. Now, download the Audio large 44K V2, the Audio sync former, and the Audio VAE 44K, and place all three of them inside that new Audio folder you just created. Also, download the Apple DFN 5B clip H file and place it in that same model's Audio folder. The rest of the necessary files will auto-download on first run. As for installing the Audio node itself, go to the Audio GitHub page. The link will be provided. Copy the URL. Open your ComfyUI manager. Click on Install via Git URL, paste that URL into the empty field, and click OK. Wait until it's done installing and then restart ComfyUI. Finally, to make sure everything is up to date, navigate to your main ComfyUI folder. Open the update folder and then just double-click on the update ComfyUI.bat file. Let's start with the 14B video creation workflow, since that's what I'll be using to create the sequence. The 14B image to video creation suite consists of 7 workflows. The first is the Flux Krea workflow, which we'll use for initial image generation. Then, we have the 2 context workflows for image editing, and these are especially important for keeping our characters consistent across shots. I've included both the Nunchaku and the standard ComfyUI version. You can just delete the one you don't want to use. Next is the image to video workflow group itself. I'm using this to create the initial shot. I've also added an upscale and interpolation group just for quick upscaling. The interpolation nodes will auto-download their own models, so there's no need to worry about them. You can enable or disable your chosen method and just connect the one you want to use to the output video combine node. Another thing I included in the upscale group is the ability to choose between an uploaded video or a video that's coming directly from the image to video pipe. As for the upscale model, you can use any of your favorite upscale models. I'm using the 4x ultra sharp model. The image to video workflow starts with a load image node, a resize image node, and the ability to choose between safe tensors or gguf. Please note that the VAE is still going to be the Wan2.2 VAE. I'll also include workflows that are either purely safe tensors or purely gguf, so don't scratch your head when you're looking at all these switches. There's a bypass Sage Attention switch in case you don't have Sage Attention installed. Also, you can use the Power Lora loader to simplify the whole process of loading Loras, and we'll talk a bit more about the Loras as we use the workflows. You can either use your own prompt or use the LLM prompt by setting the switch to 1 or 2. If you choose to use the LLM prompt, it's important to know that you need to use natural language, as if you're just talking to it. Let's quickly look at how to set the LLM nodes up. Previously, we've been using the if LLM node, but many of you have been running into problems with it, so I thought it was best to revert to the LLM party node. The process of getting the API key is the same. The only difference is in the node itself. When you create the free API key in Google AI Studio, like we did previously, just paste it into the API key field of the API LLM loader node. Use the URL on the screen as the base URL, and add Gemini 2.0 Flash as the model name. That's it. You're done. No need to do anything else, except maybe play with the temperature. Lower temperatures mean the model is more truthful and sticks very closely to your system prompt, while higher temperatures mean it gets a bit more creative with its output. I'll have the video on creating a Google AI Studio API key in the description below. Next is the sampling group. Like we said in the previous video, Wan2.2 uses 2 samplers, one for high noise and the other for low noise. The high noise sampler primarily affects the movement in the video, and the low noise sampler affects the detail. As for the video size and length, the best way to control this is by setting the video size at the very beginning, in the resize image node, and then porting that information over to the image to video node. Calculating the length of the video is also easy. Inside the length field, you just type 16, which is the frames, times 5, which is the seconds, plus 1. This equates to 81 frames. And the last group is the video output group. The workflow directly below this is the last frame video workflow. What I did here is make it so that you can upload the video you create in the first workflow and continue iterating on it. It will take the very last frame of that video and perform an image to video generation from that frame. This ensures that you can continue generating consistent videos for as long as you want to. This kind of makes controlled storytelling a bit more easy and predictable. You are in charge of the story, not the AI. The rest of this workflow is just like the standard image to video workflow. The second last WAN workflow in the Wan2.2 Video Creator Suite is the first last frame to video workflow, or FLF2V. This one works kind of like the last frame workflow we just discussed. The difference is that this one takes 2 images, a start image and an end image, for a little bit more control. The key difference between this and the other two Wan video workflows is the Wan first lasts frame node. And the difference between this new FLF2V workflow and that of Wan2.1 is that this new one does not use clip vision. But aside from that, they are practically the same, aside from the way they process the inputs. And the last workflow in the whole suite is the sound effects workflow. This uses audio. We'll dig a bit deeper into this as we go along with the video. So I had 3 characters in mind when creating this video sequence. The first is a marine, the second is a mechanical dog, and the third is an ogre who will be playing our villain. First thing I'm doing is disabling all the other workflows in ComfyUI, just bypassing them for now, and enabling just the Flux workflow. For this, I'm using the Flux Krea model. And honestly, the results this thing gives are amazing. Let's start by asking it to generate a full body image of a sci-fi marine with an exoskeleton holding a large sci-fi machine gun in his right arm. In the background, explosions and carnage. Let's see what we get. Remember, we said no nitpicking, so I'll just go with the first result. Not bad at all. Next up, let's ask it to generate a photorealistic, highly detailed image of a sci-fi mechanical war dog with a large gun mounted on its back against a plain, matte background. This model does not miss. I mean, look at that. The final image, the ogre. A photorealistic image of a grotesque green ogre fully cladded in battle gear. Not quite what I was looking for, but it's close. I need it to have a gun. It wouldn't be a fair fight otherwise, right? So let me try again. This time it looks a bit better, but it's not a full body shot. No matter. We'll just have to see what we get when we put it all together. Next up, let's bypass the amazing Flux Krea and activate Flux Context. I'm using the one that's native to ComfyUI. First, I'm going with a custom resolution, so I'll select 2 for the image size switch, cinematic view for the aspect ratio, and I'll change the megapixels to 1 because I want a 1:1 output. I'm going to use 2 images here, so I'll leave both input image nodes active. In the first image slot, I'll have the marine, and in the second, the dog. As for the models, I'm using the FP8 version of Flux Context, which means I'll have to change the model switch to 1 for safe tensors. I'm using the LLM for the prompt, so I can just talk to it, and it does the rest. Let me ask it to put the 2 together in the image, running to the right side of the frame. The image I got is not what I was looking for, but I think I'll have a use for it. Let me try something else. First, I'm going to concentrate on getting the motion I want from each character individually. First, the soldier. I want a side view of him running. This means disabling the second image input, and then running context again. This looks better. Next, I want to get rid of the blue flash in front of the gun. So I'll load the image again and run context one more time, this time asking it to remove the blue flash in front of the gun. I'm also going to use my own prompt this time, since it's a simpler instruction. It would have been easier if I just started out by prompting Flux to give me a soldier already in a running motion. But I want to do other things with that static base image later, so this is the path we're working with for now. The blue flash is gone, and the quality of the image is still usable, so let's continue to the next change. Okay, so I did the same with the dog and got its side profile. I ran both the images in context again, asking the LLM to put them together in one image, running to the right of the image. And this is what it gave me. I've chosen to go with this image. It's a bit of a dual tone, but I think I can sharpen it up a bit. For that, I have to disable the context workflow and enable the upscale part. I'll change the switch to 2 for image upload, and I'm uploading the image I just created. I'm using the 4x ultra sharp upscale model, and I've set the upscale factor to 1.5. The image is a little grainy, but at least now I know the direction of the film. Let's move to the WAN image to video workflow. I'll enable it, and just make sure the upscale group is disabled. I have the image from context loaded. I'll go with an 832 by 480 resolution. I'm using safe tensors. So I'm setting the model switch to 1. I don't have Sage Attention installed, so I'll bypass Sage Attention. As for the Loras, for the high noise Lora, I'm using the Litex2V image to video Lora. I'll use that same Lora for the low noise sampler as well. Now, here's the thing, when it comes to strength, everybody seems to have their own optimal settings. Some people set this at 3 for high and 1 for low. The reasoning is that since high noise is for movement, and if you are using only a few steps for inference, you need to increase the strength to really give it more movement. And I personally know it works, because that's my second go-to setting when I don't get enough motion. But for now, I've found that having the strength of the Loras at 2 for both does the job perfectly. Before we continue, you need to understand something. All the Loras that improved speed and quality in Wan2.1 seem to work just fine here, so if you used it there, you can use it here too. I'm using about 3 different speed-up Loras at any given time, depending on what I'm doing. My collection consists of Litex2V, Fast 1, and Pusher V1, but I mostly use Litex2V. Next is the prompt switch. I'll change mine to 2 for the LLM prompt. I'm also changing the steps to 6 for now, the CFG to 1, and the scheduler to LCM. And because my steps are 6, I'm making the end steps of the first sampler 3. And I'm also changing the start steps of the second sampler to 3. I've added the instructions in a note right next to the samplers for reference. So what I want to do is create 3 shots. The first is to start off with the subject running, but I'm still not sure of the second motion. So let's just start with the first. I'll add, I want the soldier and the dog to be running, explosions behind them. Let's see what this gives us. This looks amazing, but it's only 5 seconds. I want it a bit longer. You know what? Let's save this and test the length and speed for the next clip. What I would advise is to treat this just like any other video production. The more shots you have, the more you can play with in the edit. I'm disabling the first image to video shot workflow since we've got the first shot we want to work with. Next, I'll enable the last frame workflow and also make sure that its own upscale group is disabled. So what this workflow does is take the last frame of a video and continues the action from there. So basically, view this as the next action you want your subjects to do. What I want is basically still the same, but I want them to speed up a bit, uploading the previous video. I'm still using the safe tensors models, which means the switch is at 1. I don't have Sage Attention, so I'll bypass it. As for the Loras, I'll still be using the Litex2V Lora with the strength at 2 for both high and low noise. The prompt switch is at 2 for the LLM, and I'm using the same prompt, but this time I'm adding no slow motion. For this clip, I'm aiming for 10 seconds, which I get by multiplying 16 by 10 and then adding 1. This gives me 161 frames. I'm changing the steps to 6 for both, the CFG to 1 for both, the scheduler to LCM, and finally the end at and start at steps to 3. When I cue the prompt, it first shows me the last frame it's starting from, then the prompt it generates, and finally, the video output. Not bad. It's still cohesive. I'll first save this clip, and then load it back into the video upload node. This time I'm saying, soldier crouches behind a wrecked tank with dog beside him. Not what I was looking for, but a good enough shot nonetheless. The weird thing is that I really don't have a script, and I'm just coming up with stuff as I'm moving forward. Plus, I feel like the dog's motions are amazing, but the soldier's face isn't visible, meaning the next shots are going to be way off. So I'm saving this one and running it again. I'm using soldier and dog run, then abruptly stop, crouching behind an abandoned tank with dog beside him, avoiding bullets whooshing by over his head. The video does look okay, and it does still give you a certain degree of control. They get to the tank and then crouch behind it. But what if I know exactly what I want? For instance, in this case, I have the start image, And I know precisely how I want the shot to end, with the soldier and the dog crouching behind a wrecked tank, and I know specifically how that tank should look. This is where the first last frame to video workflow comes into the picture. The only drawback here is that you manually have to extract the first frame of your last video since you want a continuation, which isn't really a big deal. This is something that can be fixed with a few tweaks to the Flux context workflow to make it so it can take a video's last frame as an input image. Before we continue to the new FLF2V workflow, I'm going to make a change. I'm disabling the last video frame workflow and re-enabling the Flux context workflow. What I'm going to do here is make a few tweaks to the workflow itself. I'll add a video input that feeds into image 1, and then I'll disable the image 2 input. That's basically it. For the LLM, I'm telling it, the soldier, with the dog beside him, should be crouching behind a wrecked tank. The tank should be in flames. Let's just try this simple prompt and see what the LLM comes up with. And let's also make sure the output image size is the same as the input image size by setting the image size switch to 1. So we got our first image, and here's the prompt it generated, and I can already see something wrong with it. The instructions I gave the LLM were way too simple, and it shows in the way the final image looks. It's not quite capturing the scene. Let me be a bit more definitive with my prompt. I'm going to ask it, the soldier, with the dog beside him, should be crouching behind a wrecked tank. The tank should be in flames. The tank should be in front of them, obstructing the way. Their position and posture should change from running to a stationary position where the soldier is on one knee, leaning against the tank. Okay, so I finally got an image I can work with, but I don't think the tank is large enough. So I'll reconnect the original image upload node and then refresh it. I'm using my own prompt this time with increase the size of the tank, make it larger, keep everything else the same. It changed it. Just a bit, but I'm pressed for time, so I'll just use this. Next, I'll copy the image from context. I'll enable the FLF2V workflow and paste that image into the end image node. As for the start image, I can simply copy the last frame that was created by the video upload node from our previous step and paste it into the start image node. Now we've got a start image and an end image. And the best part is that the end image is exactly what I was looking for. Sort of. Again, I'm using safe tensors, so my model switch is at 1. I don't have sage attention, so I'll bypass that. The Loras are still set to Litex 2V. It works, so why change it? The prompt is, the soldier and the dog should start off running and then smoothly transition into the shot where they reach the tank and crouch behind it, remaining stationary. I'm going to let the LLM do the heavy lifting here. And also, make sure you have deactivated the Flux context workflow. The output is crazy good. The transition is seamless. I have to give this to them. The FLF2V workflow is amazing. The consistency it maintains with the characters is what blows me away. I wanted to introduce the ogre, but time caught up to me. What I'm going to do next is add sound effects to what I have. Let's start with the initial video. I'll upload it and run the audio workflow. All I'm doing here is adding the word music to the negative prompt. The sound effects came out, but it's a bit incoherent. So I decided to cheat again by introducing the LLM party node into the mix for my audio prompt. Next, I'm testing the second video, and let's see what we get. This sounds a bit better. but you can be much more specific about what you want to hear. Next up is the FLF2V clip. Let's see how that sounds. Also, not bad at all. All that's left is to put them all together in your favorite video editor, and you're done. Let me quickly explain something before I continue. The text to video and the 5B hybrid workflows basically follow the same pipeline as the image to video workflow. The only difference is that you only use text to create the first video in the 14B text to video workflow, while the hybrid 5B actually supports both image to video and text to video. Finally, this was not the video I intended to make when I started out, but it just kept growing as I was creating the workflows. What I want to do now is talk about these additions to the AI world, which are the Flux Krea model and the FLF2V workflow. The Flux Krea model is surprisingly good, especially for photoshoot type images. It doesn't necessarily beat what's already available on the creative spectrum, but it's still a highly welcomed addition since it basically eliminates the whole Flux chin debacle. As for the first last image workflow, it's at least a bit lighter than what we had before, which, in my book, is always a plus. I'd advise you to try the workflows for yourself, especially the GGUF versions. You won't be disappointed. And everything I did here was done with only 6 steps, thanks to that Litex 2V LoRa. I even went down to as little as 4 steps, with the output still being coherent, so there's that. I'll be building on this workflow from this point onwards because it basically has everything you need to create a decent sequence of videos. There are still a few things missing, but don't worry, we'll get to them. Thank you for being with me this long. Like and subscribe for more. This is the Sneaky Robot. Till next time, bye.